Hello and welcome to the Fans Edge podcast with your host Joe and Merrin's biggest simp, Tom. Hello, Tom. How are you?
Hi. Yeah, I'm good. I am not going to give any more information about that sentence.
No, not missing Merrin. Now that you finished the game,
it was a long time ago. Was Jedi Survivor. You can't blame me for having a favourite night sister, okay? Everyone has one.
We can, and we will.
Okay, well, I don't like using the word simp, but if you want to use the word simp, that's fine. That's my Twitch chat for you.
We all know it's true. Well, look, guys, if you're new to the podcast, if you haven't been here before, just a quick introduction to what we do. My name's Joe. This is Tom with me. We like to talk about all things nerdy and gaming and film and TV and anything related, especially, as you may have noticed from our little intro there, anything Star Wars. We're big fans of Star Wars. So it always takes a big place in our podcasts and our other content. Today we're going to be looking at a couple of TV and gaming related things, along with the latest gaming releases. And we're going to talk a little bit about Forza Motorsport, the new Doctor Who trailer. We've got a couple other things sprinkled in there as well. So yeah, stay with us. Let's explore those. But Tom, why don't you kick us off with the latest gaming releases?
Yeah, when we were prepping this, there's a lot. And I mean a lot. I think this is the biggest game releases we're going to have. So, let's get on with it. So, some of these game releases, as always, might be released by the time you're listening to the podcast, but it's always good to know, just in case you've missed them. So, on the 3rd of October, we've got two games. First of all is a game called Station to Station. It's for PC. It's a voxel art style. It's about building railway connections. So, it's a kind of sim-like. It's on Steam if you want to have a look at that, if that's your sort of thing. Also on the 3rd is Thief Simulator 2. That's on PC as well. If you like stealing things and maybe Payday 3 isn't your thing, maybe Thief Simulator might be. Or we could just call it BTEC Payday 3. Over to the 4th of October is Warhammer 4K Darktide for the Xbox. It's the Xbox release. That's now been released. On the 5th was Assassin's Creed Mirage for PC, Xbox and PlayStation. On the 6th of October for the Switch was Detective Pikachu Returns. On the 10th of October, as I will absolutely know, Forza Motorsport was released for Xbox and PC. On the 11th of October, we've got Total War Pharaoh. Is that how you pronounce it? Pharaoh?
Pharaoh, yeah.
Pharaoh, yeah, for PC, yeah. I don't struggle with words, I promise. On the 12th of October, we've got Star Trek Infinite for PC, which is a strategy game. It's basically similar to Star Wars Empire at War, but it's Star Trek.
From what I've seen, it's probably closer to Stellaris, for those of you that have played Stellaris.
On the 13th of October, Friday the 13th, it was Lords of the Fallen for PC, Xbox and PlayStation. On the 17th of October was Sonic Superstars with PC, Xbox, PlayStation and Switch, all of the consoles. On the 18th of October will be the Alaskan Road Truckers for PC. That is something that I actually was part of the open beta test when they did that. It's pretty cool. It's good. It's not quite SCS ETS2, but it definitely does stuff that enhances it. Being able to walk around your truck, there's more survival elements, having to repair your truck, having to deal with your hunger and your thirst and your energy. And you can actually, in your truck, you can get in the back of your cab and you can sleep. And I think that's really cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And in the back of your truck, you've got a microwave. So if you buy something that needs heating up, you can use the microwave as well.
Oh, I like the sound of this.
And when you set up your truck, by the way, you have to attach the brake lines and you have to lower and raise the trailer legs as well. So it's just those extra subtle things that are just really nice. So that's cool. It has
a lot more into that sim element then.
Yeah. It's definitely something to look out for when that releases on the 18th. On to the 9th of October, we've got Hot Wheel Unleashed 2 Turbocharged for PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch. On the 19th of October, you've got Airport Simulator for PC, and that entails more of the ground elements of Airport Simulator, so the cargo or luggage and stuff like that, the handling section. That's what that simulator will entail. On the 20th of October, Joe will be appearing in Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation 5, aren't you?
Oh,
yeah.
Spider-Man here.
Have we explained the joke or not? Do we need to explain
I don't know.
it?
We talked about that on the... We'll go through the game releases. We can explain that in a minute.
20th of October, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. On the 24th of October, we've got the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 for the PlayStation and Switch. And that involves, from my memory, the first 3 original Metal Gear Solid games. On the 26th of October, you've got Ghost Runner 2 for PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. Also on the 26th, we've got Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord. That's going to be a VR game. And also War Hospital for PC. Now, you've probably heard me say that before in another podcast, because I have. You're not hearing
We've
things.
definitely talked about that.
And that's, I believe, the sources at the time for the release date was correct, but I think they've pushed it back to October 26th now.
Okay.
I was a bit confused because on one site that it was listed, it was saying one date, and on another site, it was saying another date. So I had to kind of go with one. I wasn't quite 100% sure. So there was that. On the 27th, you've got 2 games coming out. You've got UFC 5 for PlayStation and Xbox, and Alan Wake 2 for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. And on the 31st of October, you've got Jusant on Xbox, PS, and PC, which was also featured. Was it on E3? No, it wasn't. It was the Xbox game thing in June, because it wasn't E3 this year, was there?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was one of the games that was featured on that. And that's the game releases for October. It's got a lot.
Yeah, there is a lot. There's a few in there that interest me. A few that I'm probably not as bothered about. I'm going to explain the Spider-Man thing, because people are probably wondering what the hell we're talking about. For those of you that have been around for a while, you'll be familiar with this. We've talked about it a lot. Certainly in my streams, it's come up in various content over the years. Back when Andrew Garfield was playing Spider-Man in The Amazing Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I had a lot of people saying that I looked like him. I don't know if I see it, but I took it as a compliment. I've said it many times, I'll say it again. I think he's a good-looking bloke. I'll take that as a compliment. I think a bit of flattery. But yeah, there was just a running joke for a while that no one had seen me and Andrew Garfield in the same room at the same time, so there was no proof that we weren't the same person. So yeah, people coming into the stream going, oh my god, it's Andrew Garfield. People coming up to me at work at the time and going, oh my god, you look like Andrew Garfield, or you look like Spider-Man. So yeah, I'm Spider-Man.
And now we have the conspiracy of Big Air. But, you know, it is what it is.
For God's sake, let's not start that again.
Let's not get into that one.
Let's move it on. Why don't you go on to your first topic?
Yeah, I want to talk about Forza Motorsport because it's released this month, and I was very excited for it.
Of course you do. I shouldn't be surprised.
Quick first impressions. So overall, I think it's good. I think for a simcade in between an arcade and a full-on simulator, I think it's good. I think it's done what I want it to do from the game. For me, I wanted a game that I could pick up with my controller, but at the same time be good enough on a wheel.
Okay, yeah.
In the past, when I've tried Forza Motorsport 7, for example, on a wheel, it doesn't feel good. I mean, to be fair, it doesn't feel good either on Forza Motorsport out of the box. You need to do some tweaking. But once you do the tweaks, it feels really good to the point where you're like, wow, they've actually done some work in this area, and it's viable on a wheel. But it's just as good, because obviously it's been made for a controller. It's just as good on a gamepad. It feels really good, and I just really enjoy driving on it. Just driving.
So, I just have a quick question. So obviously, you know, we've talked about racing games before, and you know that my benchmark is usually Project Cars. Yeah. And I feel like this is a good comparison I can make, actually, because if we take Project Cars 1 and 2, and Project Cars 3 separately. They're very different games, aren't they?
Yeah.
And we've talked before about how Project Cars 3 was very much arcadey, whereas the first two are more simulator. You describing this as a simcade, in my mind, and tell me if I'm wrong, but in my mind it puts it somewhere between those two groups, almost.
To a certain extent, there are things that Project Cars does better than Forza Motorsport, because it's a completely different engine, particularly the graphics and the way that they handle the weather.
Okay.
People say the criticism from Project Cars 2 was the physics weren't completely up to scratch with a full-on simulator, but how I describe the entire racing genre is this big linear line. On the left-hand side, you've got arcade. On the right-hand side, you've got full-on hardcore simulators like Assetto Corsa. And in the middle, you've got your simcades, which is exactly in the middle. Things like Gran Turismo and Forza Motorsport. See, I would put Project Cars between simcade and full hardcore sim, because it does more things that are sim-like, but it's not quite there, if you get what I mean. The physics aren't as good as Assetto Corsa, but it does do things better than Forza Motorsport, but the physics definitely aren't arcade at all.
So, again, because I look at Project Cars 3 as a separate game.
Yeah.
Would you place that sort of midway between simcade and arcade?
I would say so, yeah, because it's kind of taking a step back, yeah.
So I'm trying to equate it to things that I know.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about your scale there. Obviously, by putting in Project Cars 1 and 2 and 3, I can kind of visualize it a bit more now. So I've got an idea of what it plays like, a little bit anyway. Okay, cool.
I think Forza Motorsport still puts itself in that middle element because it's still accessible for. Because that's the thing that it prides itself on, is that the accessibility from everybody. Because it can be played on a gamepad. Versus if I try to adjust a gamepad on Assetto Corsa, it wouldn't feel the same. Whenever I play Assetto Corsa or ACC, which is Assetto Corsa Competizione, I would always want to play it on a wheel, not a gamepad, every single time. So it's that really good middle ground, and I think it's one of those where you can just have fun on. Just load up and just have some fun. But because as I was saying before you asked that question, was I just really enjoy just simply driving, even in free play, which is one of the modes, and a mode called test drive. And then you can set up free drive to race against the AI if you want, or you can go and test drive and just drive around a track, and that's just as enjoyable for me in comparison to other Forza Motorsports. In fact, I looked at all my hours on previous Forza Motorsports. My first Forza Motorsport was Forza Motorsport 5, and that was with my Xbox One. And that was kind of the first track racer I was exposed to. So you could say it all started with Forza 5. And I put roughly 48 hours total in. I mean, bear in mind, that was when I was at high school sort of time, when Forza 5 came out, so that was quite a long time ago. But I look at the trend of how many hours I've played all the new Forza Motorsports, it's not a lot. But this new Forza Motorsport, I put so many more hours in than I would have thought, because I'm really enjoying just driving. It's just enjoyable, and majority of the time I'm on gamepad. I'm just on controller, and it's it's really good. So I just wanted to delve into kind of 4 aspects that I've kind of selected, just to briefly talk about. Single player is what you would expect. It's quite linear. Obviously, we have our own imagination of what a good single player could be. I wouldn't say the single player in Forza Motorsport is a good single player, because I still think Project Cars 2 does a single player career mode the best that's a modern game in the last maybe 10 years. I think that is the best, and it is peak. That's not to say that it's completely terrible. It's doable. It's delved into tours or playlists or championships, however you want to put it. It's basically a playlist of So, for example, there might be one called Modern Hatchbacks, and that it focuses on one sort of motorsport. You go through it, and then it unlocks the next one, and that might be modern supercars, for example. And you go through that. It's that sort of linearity. You complete one,
Right.
you go to the next one, you go to the next one, go to the next one. There's a few to start with. I don't think people that dedicate themselves to single player will have enough, but they've said they're going to be supporting it over time, which is fine. I think that's good that they're going to be adding stuff as time goes on. But I also think the people that want to customize the experience to single player aren't going to be that satisfied, because you have to go through every single one to unlock the next one. And I would like the experience. This is where the Crew Motorfest does it better. Although they call them playlists, you can choose whatever playlist you want in the Crew Motorfest, versus Turn 10 are forcing you to go through each one individually because the next one's locked. So if I didn't like a particular motorsport that I'm not maybe that fond of, well, I have to go through it anyway to progress the main single player. That's my only kind of criticism of the single player, really, is I want to customize my experience of what cars and motorsports I want to go in. So that's kind of the single player. The multiplayer, I think is, everyone's saying this and I agree, it's the best feature of Forza Motorsport. Now, racing and multiplayer, I don't delve into it very, very often. So when I delved into multiplayer and I say it's quite good, I think that kind of says something. I know the reputation of racing lobbies, and particularly Forza racing lobbies, they can be a bit full of dirty drivers. I know the reputation. I'm sure you know the reputation of racing games in general for online.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah. That's probably mainly the reason why I've mainly stick to single player. Because I don't have many people to play racing games with, if I'm honest.
Okay.
There's not that many people that I do that.
Fair.
So I tend to stick to single player rather than multiplayer. But over recent years, I would say more recently, as in the last 2-3 years, I have started to try and delve into it. I went into public lobbies in Assetto Corsa Composizione, and they can be as frantic as Forza lobbies, because for some weird reason people forget to use that brake pedal, particularly on turn 1, and it's absolute carnage. But I got my first. I got I got my first multiplayer win. I don't know if you remember, I actually posted the screenshot of my car when I got it in your Discord and a few others, because I was so proud of it. This was probably maybe in the last year or something. At Spa, Francorchamps, in my McLaren 720S. So I was very proud about that.
I'll be honest, I don't remember it, but carry on.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of my extent for multiplayer. So going in, I think it's a good start. It's because it's now split into skill rating and safety rating, which isn't a new concept. It's a new concept for Forza, but it's because things like iRacing have it. The add-on third party for Assetto Corsa called LFM, they have that system. Gran Turismo have that system. So basically you go in for Forza Motorsport and you have to do 3 kind of introductory qualifier multiplayer sessions, and these 3 races kind of set your base stats. So it will basically separate the dirty drivers from the clean drivers. And, so I'm now more likely to be in the more clean drivers because I'm in the top 2 safety rating, which is an S and an A. I keep fluctuating between S and A because accidents do happen. People forget to brake, including myself. In my first race, I forgot to brake at Laguna Seca before the corkscrew, which is a really technical downwards chicane, and I T-boned somebody, and I felt really bad. I felt really bad. As I do every time I even a small little love tap that does happen sometimes. I was like, oh my god, I feel so bad. I know there will be
so easily done.
I'll be there are others. I mean, that's the thing. It's a human mistake. I miss my braking point by maybe a few meters, but that's it. Because you go you completely miss and you go, because the momentum of the car going through the corner. But yeah, so the the penalty system works, because from that I got a 4-second penalty. Deserved. I was like, yeah, I deserve that. I missed my braking point. I smacked into somebody. Fine. Yeah. So it works, but the rest of them, races I've had were pretty good. People have been generally tried to be clean. I've had one person when I was side by side. He was dirty because he purposely smacked into me.
Lovely.
So you'll still get them, but overall, it's been an enjoyable experience. I wouldn't say it's these incidents have deterred me from multiplayer. It's definitely something fun, because it's a little bit better than racing against AI, because the AI sometimes are a little bit unpredictable, or they're not as good as you think they will be.
Yeah.
But overall, I think, multiplayer is definitely good, and even if you're somebody that's single player, I think just have a go at it, because you might have more fun than you think you are, because I'm always very self-critical about my driving, particularly in sims, where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not fast enough, or I'm not good enough. But it doesn't matter with a system like this, because you're put with the skill level of what you're at. And even in the races I've been getting, there are the really quick people and the slow people. And you still have some good fun. So yeah, because I'm always another reason why I've never gone into multiplayer, because I'm worried that I'm going to smack into somebody like what I did in one of my first qualifier. I'm going to miss a braking point and just go smack. And I think majority of people, well, I say majority of people, some people might take that as a vendetta against you, but actually, in reality, I think 9 out of 10 times, it's not. It's just a simple mistake that people have. Either you've not left enough space around somebody around a corner, or you've missed a braking point, which is so easily done, then, because you don't know how familiar somebody is with a track. That's the thing.
Well, I was going to say, unfortunately, the vast majority of us are not professional racing drivers.
No, of course not.
So we don't know how well you can push a car, what the latest point you can brake is before you're going to lose it. Because people that do this professionally, they know all that. That's second nature. Yeah. But for those of us that like to hop on and play a game every now and again, yes, it's not.
I think
not gonna happen.
I think what I do like about these multiplayer sessions is they're all scheduled, so they're roughly every 20 minutes, and you've got this practice segment of when I've gone in, there's roughly 20 minutes, so I can go around the track and practice when everybody else is practicing. And in that time, I can qualify for my three qualify laps. That's all I have, 3 laps to set a time. And then you can go back into practice, or you can wait until the race starts. But by the time your race is done, there's usually another one already ready to go, so you can jump straight into the next one.
That's good. That's good, because you're not then waiting around all the time, basically, waiting for races.
I think the similarity more is Forza have definitely taken notes from how Gran Turismo does it, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I know people might be like, oh, but it's copying. But it's not a bad thing, because what Gran Turismo have done, I think, for multiplayer in the way that they've structured it, is a good system to have, and I think it's good that it's come to Forza as well. And also, there's private multiplayer as well, so you can play privately with your friends without the worry of those dirty drivers. So that's a good thing.
I mean, just on the topic of copying, air quotes. I mean, I know I've talked about this before, but I don't believe in that as a thing. I think at the end of the day, for us as gamers, as consumers, as the people that are paying the money to play these games, if they improve and they share these things between each other, or they look to each other for inspiration on things like that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we all win, because we all get a better gamer for it. So I'm totally all for that. If they're taking inspiration from other people, or going, we like that, so we're going to include that in our game, brilliant, go for it. Because at the end of the day, I get a better experience. That's what I'm after.
Yeah. Moving from multiplayer, the new Forza Motorsport has a new leveling system. So every time you drive a car, it levels up and it unlocks car parts. Which in theory, I like the idea, but not its weakness.
Okay.
First of all, I hope you got the quote that I'm referencing there. Second of all, did you? Did you get where I was coming from?
No.
Balin Scroll? I like the idea, but not the truth.
Oh,
the
okay.
weakness.
Yeah, all right,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll come back to him in a minute.
I thought I'd sneak that in there because it's very applicable. Because I do like the idea of the leveling system, but not its weakness. Because it does have a couple. The whole thing about the Builders Cup, the single player, was to build your own car, develop that relationship with the car. But they've locked the parts behind levels, which means, well, the game decides what parts to unlock first, and it goes all the way up to level 50 as a car. If I want to upgrade my tyres, I have to wait till I'm level 11, I think it is. So I think it's very counterintuitive of what they've done. They've said, well, you have the freedom to build your car, but we're going to decide what it is. I went more in depth with this when I made my initial thoughts video on my YouTube channel. But what I suggested, or I think I put in that video, was just have an alternative, you know? Have us decide what to unlock first, or just simply remove the unlocking of parts. Just give us the car points to spend instead of the money, which is what it's done now in the new Forza Motorsport. Because of this car PG element, that's where that term kind of comes from, referencing this leveling system. But
okay.
I think the locking of parts just is counterintuitive. Let us do what it is, or let the game suggest for those people that aren't sure. Because yes, it's meant to be accessible for everybody, but there are people that know what they want to upgrade first. I want to upgrade things like handling and stuff before I move on to the engine stuff, particularly tyres. Because stock tyres, you don't have your mediums, your softs, or anything like that. You just have your sport tyres. So that's the first thing I want to unlock always, because those tyres are a bit better for different situations. So I don't like that, the way that they've done that at all. But it's a good start nonetheless. What were you about to say?
Yeah, I guess I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit here, because I can kind of see where they're coming from. It encourages that replayability. It encourages people to come back and keep playing and unlocking things. A bit like what Call of Duty does with their guns, right? You play it, you want to play more because you want to unlock all the attachments, you want to unlock all of the skins for it, you know, X, Y, and Z. You keep coming back because you want to keep doing that, so you could go, oh, well, I've got the best gun, I've got the best skin on it, and I've got all these attachments, and da-da-da-da, and, you know, I'm the top of my game, right? And it's always been a bragging right. I mean, I remember in the older Call of Duties, if you had the golden skin for the gun, you were the bee's knees. Everyone knew it because that was like the last thing you could unlock on a gun. You had to get to like level 100 with it or something to unlock that. So I totally get where they're coming from in that sense of, you know, unlocking it and progression and replayability. Yeah. But I kind of see what you're saying as well. Rather than doing it because it's a very strict linear progression, then I kind of like what you were saying about maybe a point system. So when you level up, you earn so many points that you can then spend on unlocking various. I mean,
that is the system that they've also gone for. Each level you unlock gives you car points, but it also unlocks them at the same time.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If they did it more in the sense of everything is unlocked, you just have to buy that part.
Yeah.
And you earn the currency by leveling up.
Yeah.
And that was the only barrier to entry. Because then you could go, well, okay, well, the best part is 40 points. So it's going to take me, I don't know, let's say you earn 4 points a level as an example, right? It's going to take me 10 levels to unlock that. It's up to you then to go, well, I could get the slightly better tyres, and that'll increase my lap time. But then I'm not going to be able to get the best tyres until way later on down the line because I've got to save up the points. Or you can save up the points, struggle for 10 levels, because some people will enjoy that, and then get the best equipment on it straight away.
Yeah.
And it's giving people that choice, which, again, I can see where you're coming from. I think that might be a better way to approach it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can certainly see where they're coming from and sort of what their thought process probably was there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting to see, because, I mean, we know sometimes developers do listen to this feedback.
Yeah.
And they do adjust these systems. It'll be interesting to see if they maybe do that in the future, or maybe with a later game. Maybe they go, do you know what? It's done now for this one, but with the next one, maybe that's something that they will take on board.
I think also that the complaints was more of the grind, really, all the way to level 50, because every single individual car, you have to do that leveling up all the way to level 50. Again, I get it, but if you buy the exact same car, make and model, you have to do all that grind all over again. And people are saying, well, shouldn't it be per manufacturer rather than per car? So
wait, so if you buy, I don't know, 2 Ford Focuses, you got to level each one up to unlock those parts?
Yes.
See, that I don't like.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people, including myself, don't like either.
Once I've unlocked it, I should be able to use it on whatever car I've got.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's per car, and people saying all this grinding all the way to level 50 is just... For me, it hasn't affected me. I haven't been annoyed by it because I've just been enjoying driving. And because I've just really been enjoying driving, my cars have been leveling up just fine, and I've not really noticed it. But I know there are going to be people that want to do all these sort of car builds. And for those people, they're going to struggle because they're going to have to level all that up. And I don't know if you know about this, but people have been cheesing the leveling up because, as I said earlier, Forza is very accessible. There are accessibility options for people with disabilities or meant for disabilities. If you turn them all on, the game will drive the car for you. And that's what people have been doing. They've been setting a track, they've been going round, they've been setting all the accessibility options on for throttle, for turning, and the game just drives itself. And I'm thinking to myself, the people that do that and exploit that, I get it's for people that are more that need that accessibility, but this has been a thing in Forza Horizon 5, I remember, for cheesing XP and stuff.
I was going to say, I'm sure there's been another game this has been on, because I've seen videos of people doing exactly that. They just basically hold the trigger down and the game does everything for them. You're right, I think it was Forza Horizon. Yeah,
it was, and I'm thinking, why have you bought the game then? You're not playing. But on the other hand, if a feature is forcing somebody to do that because they can't be bothered with the grind, then that's fine. But I also think that Forza this is restricting a lot of Forza players, because what Forza players are now used to is handouts. They're used to having these wheel spins and handouts of supercars every bloody wheel spin, or being gifted stuff so often. And I think it's because also people aren't used to the fact that there should be this you work for it element, which I think there should be a little bit for, because that's progression, and that makes people want to come back to progress to get more things rather than being given all this elements.
I can see what you're saying, but I think, especially what you're saying about if you've got 2 of the exact same car, you've got to level each one up separately. It's not that model that levels up. It's specific.
I think per manufacturer would have been such a better system, because there's still quite a few manufacturers.
Even just, not even by manufacturer, just by model. You know, if you've got a Ford Focus and you unlock everything on your Ford Focus, if you go and buy another one, you should have everything unlocked. You can just play around with it. That, I think, should be it. If you then go, well, you know, you go and get a Ford Fiesta and it's, you know, you've got one to start from scratch, that's fine. It's a totally different model of car. I'm fine with that. I think within the same model, you should not buy individual vehicle.
And if that was the only change, I would say, and if they really wanted to keep the car part unlocking, just have the car part unlocking once, and then it's open for every other car, if they really want to keep that system. And then boom, that's
I guess
the entirety thing kind of sorted.
Well, this comes back to the currency system that I was talking about. If you've got a currency system where you buy a part, then all right, fine, you can have your leveling to unlock them, but then you spend points on it, you've unlocked that part. If you want to go spend it again for another car, fine, you've got to buy another part. That kind of makes sense, but it seems
that's also the thing. The currency has kind of changed a little bit. Obviously, there's car points, and the only thing that you buy are the actual cars. But what was really a good change, but also counterintuitive, was all the cars are less priced than they are in Forza Horizon 5. In Forza Horizon 5, you have to spend millions for some of the top supercars. But the maximum you get to spend in Forza Motorsport is 450,000, which in terms of Forza currency, that's not a lot, and that's that's like a Koenigsegg Gesto, I think it is. So that's a hypercar. That's the most expensive car in the game right now.
Are they? I wonder if they're just trying to combat sort of in-game inflation. You know, it's got so inflated, so.
That being said,
that they're like
because
down to a manageable amount.
I think the problem is, and I'm starting to see it with my currency. Although I'm kind of regularly buying cars in Forza Motorsport, I'm definitely noticing the fact that it's a good change because that's what I've wanted. I've hated the fact that the money grind has always been a problem in Forza. So I like the fact that they have lowered it, but I don't think they should have done it for Forza Motorsport because they've removed an element for using your credits, and that's the upgrades. They changed it from using money to car points, but because they've removed something that needs money, surely they should have inflated the actual car prices. Because, I mean, from a multiplayer session, you can get 40,000 credits from that.
Okay.
And
when you think about it like that.
Some of the single player, you get maybe 30,000 or something like that. Obviously, I have the VIP add-on bonus because I got premium.
Of course. I expect nothing less.
So, you know, they've done that as well, so I get a little bit more than some other people, but like, yeah, it's a good change. I'm not trying to complain about it, but I think it's done the opposite of what it should have done. If anything, they should have inflated the prices because they've removed an element, so loads of people are going to have loads of extra credits just sitting there, not doing anything until they bring out a new car or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess if you're earning that much, then it does feel like you're earning too much for the price of the cars.
And you don't start with nothing either. You start with some starting money. And I wish these racing games would stop doing that. Because remembering back in the good old days, you started with nothing, had to work your way up. Started in a good old Golf GTI, you know.
Sorry, the good old days. So shall we put on the old-timey 8-bit film in the filter? Start the flickering and the sound of the thing spooling up.
Let's make the podcast look like a VHS, shall we? Yeah.
Oh yeah, brilliant. I hope you're going to do that in the edit now.
Do you know what? I might. The last thing, I know we've been talking about this way too long, but the performance on PC. I expect them to pay attention to the performance on not only Xbox, but PC as well, which they've failed to do so. Because I'm not the only one with PC issues in terms of performance. We're not getting the frames that we should do. It's horrendous, basically. My specs are pretty good. I've got a 3080, I've got an i9, I've got 32 gigabytes of RAM. I should be able to run the game on Ultra. Can I run it on Ultra? No, because it tanks my FPS to like 10.
Oh.
I've done so much testing with benchmarking. It's got its own benchmark in game, but I'm not the only person that's having issues at all. Not to mention I have my stream issue as well, which I don't understand because other people have been streaming it. I told you about this, but basically, for those people listening, for some reason, when I play Forza Motorsport, my recording software, or my streaming software, the same thing, basically, it's fine recording, but when I'm streaming, it freezes OBS to the point where it lags the entire stream. So you end up having this really nice, smooth stream, and then suddenly you're watching a PowerPoint presentation.
I love PowerPoint Simulator. It's my favourite game.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. There is going to be a patch. By the time you're listening to this, it'll be out with that patch, but there'll be a small stability patch, hopefully. But I get it, it's an Xbox game, but they should also put some significant testing in a range of hardware for PC as well. If they're
I
going to
think
put it on,
especially so now that they're
if they're going to put it on
they're sort of
PC,
pushing the PC side as well.
if they're going to
aren't
put
they?
it on PC, they just need to. It's kind of a
Because you've got the Xbox thing for PC, haven't you? I mean,
Yeah.
that's been a thing since Windows 10, but
yeah.
I feel like they're pushing that more now and trying to get people to
Yeah.
kind of cross-play a little bit. And yeah, I feel like if they're going to be pushing that, they need to pay attention to the performance on PC.
Yeah, definitely. Right.
Well, keep us posted if that improves.
Shall we? Do you want to talk about Star Wars now?
I do, but before we talk about Star Wars, I have to give a spoiler warning. So, guys, we're going to be talking about Ahsoka. The series has finished now, and by the time the podcast comes out, it should be about a month since it finished.
I think it's
Isn't that what we said?
3 weeks. I think it will be.
Okay, 3 weeks. So we're getting on for a month. I'm hoping that most of you have seen it by now, but if you haven't, please check the description below. There will be a timestamp for after our discussion of Ahsoka. We're going to be discussing it.
For those that don't want to be spoilt with anything.
Yeah, it's going to be a spoiler-filled review. So if you don't want to listen, please check the description now. This is your final warning. Find the timestamp. Get to that time. And for those of you that are still with us, let's talk Ahsoka.
Yes.
Tom, right, without going into it too much yet, just initial top-level feeling. How do you feel about Ahsoka?
I really like it, but I was very underwhelmed by the finale.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Exactly what I was going to say. So, before we get into the finale, I want to say I loved the series. I loved the characters. They were fantastic. Baylan Skrull, oh my god. Blown away. Absolutely blown away.
Brilliant.
And, I mean, our boy Huyang is back, and I couldn't be happier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, and one last thing. Thrawn. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tom, you can't see I did the full-on chef's kiss. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I've seen some complaints about him online. I disagree with them wholeheartedly. I think he is terrifying, just like he was in Rebels. Just like he should be as a character. He is cold and calculated.
Yeah,
and
I've seen this, and
yeah,
he's not a physical... That's not why he's scary. It's his mind you need to be worried about.
It's his tactical genius.
Exactly.
And this is one of the complaints that I've seen is people going, oh, well, it's Thrawn. He would win by whatever means. He would, whatever he has, he will find a way to win. He won't throw people away willy-nilly. But my argument is he doesn't care about losing some of those troops because his goal here is to get back to the main Star Wars galaxy. All he wants, and he said this in the show as well, so I don't understand how people miss this. He just wants to delay them enough so that they get stuck there, and he can return and enact his plans. Because then he'll have all the forces at his disposal.
That's why, because I remember someone saying about this. That's why he only dispatched 2 TIE fighters to deal with. What was it? Was it the Sabine and everybody with the little people, wasn't it?
Yeah, whatever they are. I don't know what they're called. But...
I can't remember what the species, what they're called. But yeah, that's why he sent only 2 TIE fighters after them.
2 are acceptable.
All he wants to do...
He loses 2 TIE fighters.
All he wants to do is... the word's just gone from my head. What's it called? Stall. That was the word. Stall the biggest threat. And the biggest threat are the rebels. And
if he delays them, they get stuck there. They're no longer his concern because there's no way they're getting back.
Yeah.
He returns to the galaxy. He can do whatever he wants to do then, and he's not going to be stopped by the people who thwarted him last time.
Yeah.
And for some reason, people are going, oh, yeah, but he would just destroy them. No, he doesn't need to. This is the thing. He's shown as well before. We've seen before. He will not destroy something unless he absolutely has to. For him, victory is not total annihilation.
Yeah.
It is a loss that the enemy cannot recover from.
I think one of the things...
And there is a difference.
One of the things that makes him really appreciative... I'm going in a little bit of basically one of the end scenes of the finale here. But one of the great things I like about Thrawn as a villain is he's actually likable because he actually appreciates his enemy. He says, you know, you've been a great adversary, as he would say. You know?
Yeah, he's not... This is the thing as well. Yes, he is not a nice character. But he's not... I wouldn't say he's actually evil. He has signed up to a regime and he is loyal to that. That is his loyalty. But realistically, he serves the Chiss. Yeah. You know, we know this from the Legends stuff. We know that this is how Dave sort of borrowed that character. He's still that character. And I don't know if you've read the books, but there is some books about... there's I think there's more now, but there was a trilogy.
I know. I'm aware that there's a dedicated novel about Thrawn.
Yeah, there was a trilogy that came out around about the time of Rebels being out, and it talks about his backstory, and it talks about him during the Clone Wars and him meeting Anakin.
Yeah,
and then obviously post Empire when he's part of it as well. And as much as he's serving the Empire and he serves the Emperor because he has pledged himself to him and he's a man of his word.
Yeah,
he's actually doing it for the Chiss Empire. So yeah, there's whole dimensions to him. He's a very complicated character. I think that's what makes him so brilliant, or one of the reasons that makes him so brilliant. But yeah, I totally disagree with the comments that he's not true Thrawn. Yeah, he is. You've totally missed it. I realise that might be a hot take, but yeah, that's my view on it. You know. But yeah,
there's also another thing about how. All these comments about, I think everyone's confused of how the Force actually works now, because people are in kind of three camps here. Is it you're Force sensitive? Is it that everyone can use the Force, or why not both camps? You know, in A New Hope, Obi-Wan says the Force resides in every living thing, and we've kind of reinforced that. But there's also the term of being Force sensitive, and this is obviously the conversation surrounding Sabine unable to utilize the Force to move a coffee cup, for example. You know, which she struggled to. I'm kind of in the camp where why can't we have both? Some people can be more Force sensitive than others, but also everybody is capable of utilizing the Force if you have the proper training and dedication to train yourself to utilize it the way that it can be.
Yeah, I don't know. So I'm not firmly in the camp of why can anyone use it, but I do err a little bit on that side. To me, being Force sensitive has always been like a special thing. Like, you imagine the billions of like beings in the galaxy, only realistically a handful can actually tap into and control and wield the Force. And I've always liked that because it makes them seem a little bit special and a little bit out of the ordinary. You know, I know there's always been things about the Force resides in all living beings, so everyone is shaped by the Force and all this. I did find it a little bit strange that all of a sudden Sabine could use it. I kind of see the argument that she was, because of her Mandalorian heritage, she was maybe a bit too wound up and closed off to open herself up to that. And I can see where maybe that might be it. But I also feel like Kanan in Rebels would have alluded more to that if she was.
See, it takes me back. It takes me back to the scene where Kanan is talking to Hera about the fact that she's so. Kanan says how she is, and then Hera says, "Oh, she's being Mandalorian," and he's like, "Yeah, basically." But I do think his training with the Darksaber has helped utilize to be able to manipulate the Force, but it's going to be slower because the fact that she is very Mandalorian, you know. But I do think it's maybe helped in her case. In all honesty, I just want to be full Mandalorian without the Force or lightsaber, in all honesty, but I'm fine with the direction that they've gone with. Fine.
Yeah, although I'm sitting here saying that I'm not sure how I feel about it, I'm not firmly in that camp, but I'm a little bit on the fence.
Yeah.
Well, do I like that? I don't know. But I've said this a lot with Star Wars in the past. I'm just along for the ride.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it for what it is. I'm enjoying the stories. I'm loving that we're getting more Star Wars content, and I'm loving the overall story that's happening. So if that's my only gripe about it, if that's the only thing I'm a little bit on, do you know what? I can lump that.
Yeah.
I can live with that, and I'm happy to keep watching because there's so much amazing stuff that's going on that really I feel like I'm nitpicking if that's my issue.
Yeah. And one of the things that I loved was partway through the episodes was a theory of saying, particularly when Enoch appeared, people were like, "Oh yeah, all the stormtroopers are zombies." And the hilarious thing is the people that said that were kind of right, but you were wrong. Because they were actual stormtrooper, actual people. They just got turned into zombies through the magic afterwards.
Weren't the Death Troopers already zombified though?
I think so, but I'm more talking about the regular stormtrooper.
Yeah, that's fine. But I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to touch on that very quickly. This does make Nope, not Death Troopers. What's the name? Oh, I can't think of the name now. It's gone. But there was a story of zombie stormtroopers, and it makes them canon now. I think they might have been called Death Troopers before the Death Troopers in Rogue One came in. But yeah, it makes them canon now, which is very cool.
Yeah,
I do like that. That's a thing. I thought that was a really fun concept, and I think that works really well for the situation that he was in, relying on the Great Mothers.
Yeah.
I think that's very much Thrawn, making use of the assets at his disposal.
Another comment that I've just remembered is when he rains fire when they're charging the front door. People are saying, well, surely there would have been a bit more of an explosion, but people are forgetting the Chimera has been on its own power source for 10 years. He doesn't have a lot of power.
Yeah.
Hence why there's a giant ring in the sky to try and pull him back. He doesn't have the power to do much. In fact, he's probably used all of his power supplies trying to prevent the rebels.
In all fairness,
to get where he's going.
In all fairness, you can see just from looking at the Chimera, it is battered.
Oh yeah, it's like, a wreck.
It's hanging on for dear life. Like,
I
mean, I hope they restore it because I love that ship.
Just like the stormtroopers, you can kind of see they're all been patched up and bandaged and whatever. Yeah,
it totally. This is the thing as well. Like, oh, he wouldn't throw things away. He's been on that planet for however many years. I don't actually know how long exactly, but
yeah,
he's been there for so long. He's got by with what he has available to him. He's made alliances so that he can continue to survive and achieve his final goal.
Yeah.
I think, I don't want to go in circles again, but people have really missed the point with Thrawn within Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Look, we're going to have to touch on Bale and Skull.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say it again because I think it needs. I cannot say it enough. Fantastic actor, Ray Stevenson. Thank you, sir, for everything you did. You are an amazing actor, like top quality actor. I've never seen anything like it. We got an amazing character out of it, which I don't think any of us were expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shame that we won't get more of that. The performance was fantastic. The character is brilliant. I think everyone loved the character.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, and this is kind of what I want to talk about as well. It's a shame that he's not going to get to continue playing it, because here's the spoiler: the ending of him finding the statues of the Mortis gods. Interestingly, the daughter is destroyed there. But him finding that statue and standing on the finger clearly was alluding to whatever would be his role in season 2. Obviously, they finished filming that just before he passed away, so at the time they were obviously setting him up for a season 2. I wonder how they're going to move forwards with that, because there's the argument of, well, it would be disrespectful to CGI him. You know, a bit like what they did with Luke and Leia with their younger appearances in the latest sort of stuff. People feel that would be a little bit disrespectful, which I can see. You know, you obviously got the idea of recasting him, but is anyone going to be able to live up to Ray Stevenson's performance? That's going to be tough to match now, I think.
I've seen a few people suggest a few people that kind of look like the way Balin looks in in Star Wars. So, I mean, I'm not against the idea. I get there's this disrespect. Oh, you don't want to recast somebody because of the disrespect. But if Filoni's idea to tie everything in relies on Balin being alive and present on screen for his big film, he's going to have to choose something, and people aren't going to be happy about it, and we're just going to have to accept that. Because if it is a major thing for his tie-in, then he's going to have to do it.
Well, here's the thing. So, I think the way that they've ended it, Balin Skull was going to be a major plot point, for season 2. And I think something to do with the Mortis gods. Excuse me.
While you recover, I was going to mention that I think a lot of people have missed the mark with the Mortis gods because loads of people haven't actually seen the arc that is in the Clone Wars. I saw something on Twitter that basically said, oh yeah, the Lord of the Rings have done statues. What's the big deal?
Oh god, okay.
And it's like, it's an entire huge arc of how basically the Force is. It's all about the Force.
Yeah, so...
And it's a really good arc.
Train of thought. Choking has thrown me off. Yeah, Rey, it was obviously set up to be a big thing. Tying in with the Mortis gods, I wonder if the World Between Worlds might have been how Ahsoka and Sabine get back. Because obviously it connects all points of time and space and all that.
That's a good point. I haven't thought about that.
Yeah, I wonder if they might use that. I mean, I wondered if they were going to use that to get there. Obviously, once they left.
I mean, that's what everyone's theory was. Oh yeah, the World Between Worlds is going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Talking of which, the GOAT himself. Hayden
Anakin
Christensen.
Skywalker. Yes. Oh my god, it was amazing. Oh, so good. I will come back to that because I need to finish this train of thought before I lose it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do wonder if they will use the World Between Worlds or something akin to that to get back. Obviously the depiction of the Mortis gods, maybe they will travel to Mortis again. Who knows? But I think they will use that as a way to get back because I think it would be cheap to just bring in the Star Whales again. I can't remember what they're called. Purrgil, that's it.
Yeah.
But also, the other thing was, they obviously haven't started writing season 2 yet. Because of the writers and actors strikes they've got going on at the moment in the US. Yeah. I wonder if that means that, because they've said they haven't started writing anything, it's just open. They were obviously going to start, but that's been delayed. That's given them a lot of freedom to now decide what to do. Maybe there'll be a bit of a time skip.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. There's obviously ways that they can address the Ray Stevenson part. Maybe they kill him off screen, or maybe they end that story off screen and we just get a little thing at the start which explains what happened. I don't know. But there are obviously ways that they can address that, and hopefully they will do something with respect to Ray. But come on, let's talk about Anakin. Let's talk about Hayden coming back. Hayden is fantastic. I'm so glad he's getting the recognition now as well.
Yeah. It was just so good to see him. And not only that, I think the best scene that I saw, I think you know exactly where I'm going with this. live action Clone Wars. Like,
Oh,
come on, we need more of
oh,
that.
live action Rex.
Yeah, although we
Please.
saw 10 seconds of him. Oh, yes.
I want more.
Yes.
So, I want to get your thoughts on this because I don't like the idea of it, but I want to what you think. I've seen people talking about wanting a live action Clone Wars series or movies or something. Yeah, like I said, I don't like that idea. You know, we've got something fantastic in the Clone Wars, the animated show. I don't think we need to do that in live action. We've already got that content, but I would like to see a live action Rex. This thing, we can have live action Rex in this time period. You know, we know he was in Rebels. It's not official, but it's kind of headcanon, and Filoni likes the idea that Rex was on Endor, the old fella.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's not official, but Filoni likes it, so I'm sure he'll make it canon. But we could still have Rex appear. Yes, he'd be a very old man at this point, but I think that'd be really cool to see old man Rex appear and help them.
Yeah.
Also, just because I'm aware we've been talking about this for a while as well, the other thing is where I think this is leading towards. I think Thrawn is going to be the big bad for Filoni's Mandoverse wrap-up movie. You know, I think things have been alluding to that. Thrawn has now returned. I don't know how much we've got left of the Mandoverse in terms of seasons of Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, whatever other shows they might tie into that.
Yeah.
We know it's going to be wrapped up, obviously, with his film. But I think Thrawn is going to be, as I say, our big bad guy in that. And I think he's going to be sort of the main evil force that they have to contend with.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming will end up in whatever creates the First Order.
Yeah. The last thing I wanted to I personally wanted to say about Ahsoka was, I said right at the start of this, was that I found the finale underwhelming. And the reason why I said that was because it didn't have the finale oomph that you would expect. For example, The Mandalorian Season 3 had that big finale oomph, which Ahsoka really lacked.
Yeah. So I think, overall, I would probably agree with you, but I think there were subtle moments that were...
Yeah, don't get me wrong, it was a good episode, but it didn't feel like a finale for a series.
No, I agree with you. It feels very open-ended. Yeah, I get what you mean. There's not some grand closing episode or story or whatever. It's very much open. I get that. But I do like that we finished with Force Ghost Anakin.
Yeah.
That we finished with Ezra meeting Hera, finally. Or seeing her again, I should say. Thrawn looking out over I think they were all coffins, weren't they? Which I wonder if we're going to have more Dathomirian magic, Night Sister magic to revive more troops and stuff. But...
Talking of Ezra, it is so... The thing is that we know Ezra's kind of silly, isn't he? He's kind of this... Even when he's old as he is now, he's still his kind of boyish, silly thing because...
Yeah.
I don't know if you know. I'm pretty sure you noticed. He responded on the radio, which is such an to the other stormtroopers, which is such an Ezra thing to do. You know.
Yes, I was so hoping he would.
It made me remember the point where he's saying he's on what's the love cat planet called? Lothal. It's saying, oh yeah, it's code red. That scene.
Commander Melu run.
Yeah, yes. Obviously, he's a bit more matured now, but yeah, it just reminds me of that. Yep, it's still him. Good old Ezra, but he's a bit more mature.
Such a callback.
And the fact that not only that, but dressing up in stormtrooper armor is his thing.
Totally.
He's got another helmet to his collection now.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. That was so classic Ezra moment. He felt a little bit different and off, but I think that's probably because he's been away for so long on his own.
Yeah,
I think that makes sense. but that was such a moment of, oh my god, this is Ezra.
Yeah.
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it kind of suddenly all fell into place for me there. Definitely.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I
good.
I know there's been quite a few spoilers. Again, I hope those of you that have still been listening to this part, I hope you've all seen it, because my god, we've given away a lot. I think overall it was a fantastic season. It was, I think, as good as I was hoping it would be. It certainly lived up to the hype that I had built for myself.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see where season 2 takes us. I'm sure we're going to get season 2. I think they left too much open to not continue.
Yeah.
Or not to continue those stories, I should say. Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens next. I mean, I'm excited for all of the Mandoverse. Everything that's coming out from this time period and these stories is just blowing me away.
That actually reminds me that the court scene actually determines the time frame of Ahsoka, because we get to see what's he called? The pilot that usually interacts with Mando. What's he called?
Oh, isn't it Carson Taker?
Yes. So in that court scene, we kind of get to see that it's post Siege of Mandalore. So
yeah, but I think we already. I know we've kind of discussed this on one of the streams recently, but I think we already knew that. I know there was some debate over it.
I think it's more of a confirmation for those people that aren't really paying attention to timelines. It's kind of that subtly thing that's been put in there just to kind of a bit of a confirmation. Yep, this is when it's happening. So, you know, Mando is currently being a Mando dad, chilling with his beer and his kid at this point in time, just chilling.
He's just waiting for the next job. It's fine.
Yeah.
Go on, Tom. Look, I feel like I've gushed over Ahsoka for long enough. I know you have something to talk about next.
Right. So I wanted to talk about a particular issue. The always online for gaming. It's been a thing for a very long time, and I think a recent game release that I was excited for took victim to always online. Which has really opened up, I think, a lot of people's knowledge of the fact that online gaming just isn't reliable. And of course, I'm talking about the launch of Payday 3. Payday 3 was going to be always online, and when they announced this a while ago, I wasn't too much worried about it, but loads of other people were. Bear in mind, Starbreeze, who make this game, they haven't really released a game for 10 years, particularly in the Payday franchise anyway. I think they underestimated the player base that was going to play it. I feel that Payday as a franchise is quite niche, but I think that Starbreeze thought the exact same thing, and there were so many more people to log on to their servers, and basically for a good week, nobody could log on because no one could play the game because there was no offline mode because of the servers. But they came out and said that it was to do with their matchmaking partner, that it came up with an error that didn't appear in the beta, and they were trying to fix it. And when they upgraded their servers, it smoothed everything out, and I've not had an issue since. But it's definitely a big reference point. It's going to stay in Payday 3's legacy forever, unfortunately. And people were review bombing, because if you go on the Steam store for Payday 3, I bet you anything it will still say overwhelmingly negative. I think the overall game for Payday is good. It's a good start for what they're going to be doing over the next few years. Yes, it might seem a bit bare bone from Payday 2, but I like the gameplay and I like where it's going, because they need to develop that more 10-year content journey. But the fact that the online gaming aspect has really tarnished the start. But we know there's been many games that have bounced back from such terrible launches. Battlefield 4 had a terrible launch, is now probably classed as one of the greatest and best Battlefield games ever. Cyberpunk 2077 has completely bounced back, particularly with its new DLC. Everybody are really praising it and thinking, yeah, this is a great game. but people will still reference Cyberpunk's terrible launch. And I think it will be the same.
Yeah.
But there's always this kind of worry, is online gaming actually the proper element? As someone that used to have utterly terrible internet, I understand and I recognise that not everyone will have brilliant internet. And they might drop out. They might have so terrible internet that they might drop out and not be able to play the game. Or prefer playing in offline mode to, you know... Because I remember doing one task when I was living in Scotland, you know, quite a few years ago now, for me. I had so terrible internet, doing one thing would affect the rest of the house. If I started downloading something, it would affect the entire household. You know, there will be people still like that, you know, that will have terrible internet. Yeah, internet infrastructure has got better over the years, but... always online isn't always a good idea because servers aren't reliable. They crash. They get DDoS. You know, problems happen. Well, yeah,
I was going to say
problems happen.
My only example of an always online game, which did eventually change, was SimCity, the latest release. That was originally an always online. In fact, if you weren't connected, you lost all your worlds. So that was very much forcing you to play online, and I think they were going for that multiplayer cooperative, where you build a city aspect.
Yeah.
But obviously that was a very controversial decision at the time. A lot of people did not like it, and it caused a lot of problems. And as you mentioned, there was a lot of server issues. EA servers went down quite a lot, and it meant that we couldn't play. You know, as I say, if you couldn't connect, you lost your world. Or you lost your city, or you know, whatever. You couldn't play with that. So there's definitely issues with always online as a concept in gaming. And I agree with you. I think there's too many downsides. Again, going back to SimCity, I think this is the only game I've had that experience with. But eventually they realised that it was actually harming them and harming their player base, and they removed that as a feature. You could then play locally, you saved your game locally, and you could play offline, and you know, it was a much better experience, and we obviously got to enjoy the game finally. But I wish that more developers would see that is a bad choice to go with. But I totally agree with you. I don't think always online is a good thing.
I think as time's gone on, developers have put more elements and features that are reliant on always online connection. Because I think that the first game that I definitely remember, it might not be the first game that I actually interacted with, but the very first one that I remember having an always online connection was Need for Speed Rivals. You know, it was because I remember it said on the box an internet connection is required to play, but all that was to just to log into the servers, and then that's it. You don't have to go on to multiplayer. Because I played that game on single player, and that was it. But now I feel that there are more. I get the kind of the reasons for it, because Adobe now do it for their Creative Cloud software. You have to be logged in all the time now, because people will. It's more to do with cheats, really, cheating the system. And doing stuff that way. And in Starbreeze's case, for Payday 2, people were using DLC unlockers to get the DLC for free, and achievement unlockers and all this kind of stuff. It was, I get the kind of cheating side, and the exploits as well for an offline. I think if they just went back to basics of saying, you need a connection to connect to the servers, sure, but always make sure there's an offline element mode there, just in case those servers aren't available. And it's the same for Forza Motorsport, actually. It has an always online, and in fact, I keep getting this issue where almost every time I log into Forza Motorsport, it's saying, you're not connected. And then when I press offline, it says, you're connected, you can go back to your regular profile. But when it does that, it kind of resets all your kind of progress in the terms of you can only go in free play. none of it carries over into the offline mode. So yeah, you can play it, but it's very limited. But do you know what? I'm fine with that. That's fine. But I think they need to put less services reliant on online, because these issues just keep cropping up.
Yeah, I mean, look, with my experience and the fact that it's still ongoing, I think I would say that developers should just drop that as a business model.
Yeah.
Just get rid of always online. Sure, have it as an option to log in and you know, what have you, but just let people play on their own. If you live in the middle of nowhere, you're not getting good internet. You know, you're cutting off parts of your player base. Let people play.
Offline.
I realize that's a very simple look at it, but
yeah.
I think it's just a better way to approach it, personally.
Because I mean, Payday 3 launch was probably the one that I don't really remember another game having such a terrible launch. I wasn't there for the SimCity launch. Obviously, I have SimCity, and I heard about some of its issues at launch. In fact, its launch was so terrible that they shut down the studio that made SimCity, didn't they?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Payday 3, in terms of recent years or anything that I can, as far as I remember, is the biggest flop when it comes to servers itself. I don't remember any other game having such terrible luck with it. But I do believe that it's also because that Starry's underestimated how many people were trying to log on, because there were so many people trying to log on to the point where it broke. But also it was to do with the fact that the servers gave out an error, and the only thing that you could play was the tutorial, which didn't give you any XP or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I saw somebody say, "Oh yeah, how many times do I have to go through the tutorial?"
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's no offline mode, and everyone's preaching offline mode, and they're like, "Yeah, we're looking at every available option, including offline mode." But they have restored servers. Servers have been solid, haven't had an issue since, which is good.
Okay. Should we move on?
Mm-hmm.
Enough with always online. We'll talk about a different game. Funny enough, it is a multiplayer only game, so you know, kind of actually relating to the same kind of issue. But no, we're going to talk about Darktide. Warhammer 40k Darktide. Some of you may be aware of this. Tom, I don't think you've touched it, have you?
No.
No. Did you ever play Vermintide?
Nope.
No. All right, fine. You have absolutely no idea. Perfect. Darktide is, I guess the best way to describe it is a 4-player cooperative. I guess just enemy shooter hack and slash kind of thing. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. I don't really know how else to describe it. It's set in the Warhammer 40k universe. You play as a group of guardsmen, with variations on that, and you hack apart cultists and demons, and yeah, it's great fun. Darktide came out a little while ago, and they've finally gone with a console release, which I think you mentioned at the start.
I did, yes.
They've also, as a part of this console release, pushed out a class rework. That's for console and PC. The classes, and this is one of the problems that myself and people I've been playing it with have kind of had since the release, was it was great and it was good fun, but once you've played a few games, that was it. You kind of done everything. You know, there wasn't a lot of replayability. And one of the issues with that, or one of the reasons for that, was that there was no real kind of class customization. You played a class and it was very much, I don't know, for example, let's take the veteran. Every veteran was the same. Every Ogryn was the same. So there wasn't really much customization in there, and you couldn't kind of play it the way you wanted to play it, if you follow my drift. With the class rework, they have totally rebuilt the class system and all of the perks. You now have a much more customizable tree, I think, with 3 major option paths, with obviously sub-options within those. And you can kind of customize it to play more to your play style. So the veteran was very much a sharpshooter kind of class previously. Now there are other options other than sharpshooter. I was just trying to take a look through the dev blog to try and see if they shared more on it. They haven't, which is great because I haven't been able to play it yet. But sharpshooter is just one of the options now for the veteran. There are other options within there. I would assume one that's more... oh, here we are. I have found it. It can be anything from sharpshooter to a squad leader to more commando / spec ops type character. But obviously, with you being able to choose options within those trees, you can do something in between those options as well. There's a lot more customization. It looks like they're doing a lot more to give you unique play styles, so you've got more reason to come back and create new characters and play different things, which I think is good. I always think that giving us options as players is good, is something that we should be able to explore. I talk a lot about replayability. I've talked about it today, for example. It gives you options to go back and play in a different way and play your style, but also to try out different things that maybe you wouldn't normally. Yeah, I like that they're revisiting Darktide. I think Darktide could have been very good. It was just a shame that we didn't get a lot of options to start with. But it's definitely something that I want to go back and revisit, and hopefully I can get a team together and we can go and purge some enemies. I've seen some rumours out there as well that they'll be adding in some new enemy types. I don't know if that's true, but for those of you in the know, Gene Stealer cults is what's floating around out there at the moment. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get some new missions and new enemies to face. I think that'll be quite interesting. That'll shake things up a little bit because, again, we've faced all the same kinds of enemies through this so far. I think, again, I talk about it a lot, but I think options are good. I think replayability is good. Having different things that we can explore is always good for us as the player. So I'm excited to dive back into Darktide, and see what this overhaul is really like. Maybe I'll try and get one in before the next podcast, and I'll let you know. Go on, Tom. Back to you.
I like to talk about Massive Entertainment. Massive Entertainment, as you know, they are currently working on Star Wars Outlaws and Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. Now, I have mentioned this before. I have mentioned the developers because I like a particular franchise called The Division, the cover-to-cover third-person shooter. Probably one of my favourites. I don't know what it is about The Division. It's just so nice as the gameplay loop, the PvE element. I just love it. So, I've checked now. At the time that I put the link, the tweet's been deleted again. They deleted it before. But don't worry. I have backup sources that I've utilised here. So, the creative director for Star Wars Outlaws has been assigned the executive producer for the Division franchise. The Division, which across all platforms has roughly 40 million players. It's a big franchise.
Wow. That's pretty good going.
Jiraite will now oversee all the Division games and products, including the Division 3.
Ooh.
They have just announced the development of the Division 3. So my understanding is he's going to go through with Star Wars Outlaws, and then he's going to get moved to Division. So as soon as Outlaws is out, he's like, yep, I'm going to work on the Division now. Thank you. That's out. Yep. You can go and enjoy that lovely scoundrel game, and I'll be working on the new Division game. So what they said was this announcement represents Ubisoft's dedication to the longevity of the brand. In his new role, Julian will drive the many interdependent production elements of the Division brand in a unified direction. This includes development oversight, operations, and creative vision, together with the development teams around the world who are currently developing the mobile game Tom Clancy's The Division Resurgence, Tom Clancy's The Division Heartland, and Tom Clancy's The Division 2. So, the funny thing is they kind of announced that he was being part of the Division as the executive producer very subtly in a kind of announcement post. And in the tweet, it just said, including the development of the Division 3. And I was like, how subtle can you be to announce a brand new game? Like...
Maybe they were just hoping no one would notice.
I just thought it was funny the way that they just snuck in the Division 3. Were like, and everyone that loves the Division 3 was like, wait a minute, what? They've just announced the Division 3. What?
See, there is a possibility it could just be a typo. But I really hope that they actually do make the Division 3. I loved 1 and 2. I've not played the mobile games. I don't know if you have.
No. I don't know if you're aware about at Heartland. It's this. It's going to be a free-to-play one. They've been in the Ubisoft Connect one. They kind of it's open for playtests and stuff.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a little bit like the Dark Zone.
Oh, okay.
It's still got that PVE, PVE
aspect.
and P. Yes, PvPe. Yeah, whatever it is. You know what I mean? I think.
Player and environment combat.
Yeah. It's probably not proper Division as we know and love it. In fact, I didn't even know you liked the blooming game. But here we are. Yeah. I remember beta testing. I remember beta testing the first one. Loved it. Oh.
No, I might have been involved in that, but I think many moons ago I streamed it for a little while as well.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I love the game. I think it's a lot of fun. I haven't played it in a while, and I keep thinking I should probably re-download it and get back into it.
Well, well, if you do, we can play it together. There we go.
Oh well.
Yeah.
There you go.
Have you played the Warlords of New York DLC or not?
No.
Oh. Well, that's that. Well, okay, that's an excuse to get back into it then.
Right. Okay.
I'll even play it through with you. Yeah.
All right.
Because I finished it. Done. Woof. That's obviously been out for a while, but the twist ending is good.
So that's the thing. I've not finished either game.
I didn't finish the Division 1 to be fair. I just went straight to Division 2.
It was always one of those games. It was just fun to just jump in and do some stuff for a little while and then jump off. A lot of replayability in that for me. A lot of reasons to go back and play for a couple of hours or so. And I think I can just pick up for a little while and play and then carry on. I mean, certainly as I'm getting older now, God, that makes me sound old in itself. But as I'm getting older, I find definitely that I have other commitments that I have to think about, and being able to pick up a game and play for a little while and then disappear and do something else is really important to me, and Division certainly fills that niche.
I wish I was just more into the Division, but I'm not. I played it with my friends once.
I was going to say maybe we'll jump back in together.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun one to pick up and play every now and again.
The element of how do we play this game again?
Oh yeah, it will definitely be that. I've forgotten everything.
You know, I've even considered trying to. You can have numerous characters on it, so I've even potentially been considering maybe going through it all over again. But we'll see at some point. Yeah. But yeah, Division 3 is in development. It's just confirmation right now. There's no release date because I bet it's just in pre-production right now. So maybe in a few years' time, we'll be getting the Division 3, which will be very, very much exciting. But yeah, final topic I think we'll move on to. A bit Time Lordy, shall we just say.
Oh, is it now?
Yeah.
Ooh. No, I won't. We're going to talk about Doctor Who.
Yes.
We're about, by the time this comes out, less than a month away.
Yeah.
For those of you not in the know, aware.
Yes.
I'll combine two sayings, that's fine. For those of you that aren't aware, that have not kept up to date with it, or maybe aren't that familiar, Doctor Who is entering is actually in its 60th year this year. And next month they are doing the 60th anniversary, which will be marked with 3 special episodes. We've talked about it before, but David Tennant will be coming back to play the Doctor again. There's a lot of theories about what's going on there and what that's going to mean. I'm very excited to see what the story entails. We've had a new trailer come out as well. Well, at the time of recording, it was about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's not really new anymore, but yeah.
Yeah, but we have had another trailer to whet our palates, to keep us excited. I don't know about you, Tom. I am bubbling under the surface because I'm very excited to understand this story.
Yeah. The first thing I said, my first reaction to the trailer that I said this to Jay, our resident Doctor Who expert. The unit of next Tony Stark's tower. What's going on with that?
Oh my god, yes.
That's the first thing I noticed. I was like, wait a second. Wait a minute.
Yeah, I did look at that and go, why have we got Avengers Tower? Yeah, that's definitely a weird design choice, but do you know what? I'm here for it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it because it's a good design. But the second thing that I said to you on stream when we were trucking, I said, it looks and feels like a movie trailer.
Yeah.
And then you said that's probably because of the budget. They've got a bigger budget.
Yeah, so again, for you guys listening or watching on YouTube, I said at the time that I wonder if this is a budget thing. Number one, they've not got to make a full season. They're making 3 episodes for the year. So I wonder if they've got a year's budget to spend on 3 episodes. But on the flip side, they've obviously got the deal with Disney now. And I know Disney is only going to be distributing Doctor Who outside of the UK. Inside we still get it on iPlayer and the BBC. But yeah, it's distributing it outside of the UK. But there must have been some exchange of money for that deal to take place. You know, they've got exclusive rights to share it. That has to have been some amount of money exchanged hands there to make that happen. With Russell T Davies doing it through his own production studio now, is it Bad Wolf Studios?
Yeah. Based in Wales.
Oh, yeah. But I wonder if that money has gone directly to them rather than to the BBC's coffers. Or there's been some split. If there has been, I imagine that's a sizable amount of money. Has that helped them to go, well, we've got a lot more money we can spend on making Doctor Who? So is it bigger budgets? You know, is it... I mean, it might even be a combination of the two. Bigger budgets and focusing on only 3 episodes for a year. Maybe that's why, but you're absolutely right. Going back and watching it, I certainly get the same feeling. It's very much like you're watching a movie trailer. I feel like I'm watching the latest Avengers trailer.
Yeah. Not
the trailer for the next season of Doctor Who, a TV show that's been running for 60 years. Yeah, it's... I totally get it. I didn't see it first time I watched it, but having gone back and watched a couple of the trailers, totally with you on that. Very odd.
One fun little detail that I didn't realise until somebody pointed it out is they've kind of referenced the last anniversary with Matt Smith, because if you look at the helicopter scene with David Tennant is in the near one.
Oh yeah.
Now the shot makes your eye be focused on David. However, if you see the second one, obviously, as I said, I didn't get this right at the start until it was pointed out to me. The second helicopter, the second helicopter in the background is actually carrying the TARDIS, just like in the one that Matt Smith was. But Matt Smith one was more badass because he was hanging out of it. So, yeah, I still love that scene. It's so good. It's the one reason why I keep re-watching that anniversary special.
Yeah, it was... I mean, I loved that anniversary special. I thought it was a fantastic story. I really enjoyed watching that. I agree with you. It's one that I could go back and watch quite a lot, and I do.
Do you know what? I think it's actually my favourite episode of Doctor Who ever. I think.
Oh really?
I don't think. I don't. How do I say this? I think the one thing of characters that meet each other, I found really satisfying. That multiverse, universe sort of aspect of them meeting, particularly numerous doctors. I just love it. It's just satisfying to me to watch, and it's just enjoyable to watch because you're just smiling through it, thinking, yeah, this is about to happen, all this kind of stuff.
It's funny you say that because I think my favourite episode, actually it's 2 episodes, is the end of David and Catherine Tate. The one with the reality bomb and all of the it's actually not their end, is it? But it's close to. All of the companions from David's run come together.
Oh yeah, that is another favourite of mine. Yeah.
I love that episode.
Because it's the same energy. It's that everyone coming together as a collective to help. It's just, I don't know what it is about that sort of thing. It's just really nice to have.
I think it's because it encapsulates everything that is Doctor Who.
And
it encapsulates everything that the Doctor stands for. Standing together with the people you love and doing right.
Yeah. I thought your favourite episode would be the one where you featured in it. No?
Well, look, I can't be all about me. I did appear in an episode, of course. It was in New York. We were facing some Daleks. It was a fantastic episode, and I think I did a great performance. But
we are, of course, referencing when Andrew Garfield appeared in Doctor Who. For those not
Andrew
following,
in David's 2nd season. It was quite early on, wasn't it? It was only like the 2nd or 3rd episode.
Yeah. It was with it was with Martha Jones, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Look, this is a running joke, mate. Look, it's made it to the podcast now. You're gonna have to get used to this one, I'm afraid, listeners. But going back to the latest trailer, it's got me very excited. We're seeing more of that Dr. Donna interaction. The chemistry between the two of them was always brilliant. Very enjoyable, very funny, and it's nice to see that it feels like they've slipped right back into that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel forced. I know we've only got the trailer, so we've got very specific clips to see, but like I said, it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like anyone's pushing anything. It feels natural. It feels like they never left, almost.
But there's also that dark delivery line of "I don't think I can save you this time." Of being like, "Oh." Yeah,
that does make me a little bit worried.
Yeah,
it does have me on the edge of my seat.
Yeah,
but I just, do you know what? I'm gripping my seat, waiting for the episodes to come out. I think it's the latter half of November, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's going to be good. I mean, like I've said many times before, mostly on the stream, but I think I've said it here as well. I'm very excited about Russell T Davies being back and being at the helm. I'm looking forward to him writing stories. I loved his stories. I loved what he wrote and what he led, I guess is the word. And it's exciting to see him come back and also to see what he can do with the current state of things.
Talking of
RTD. Oh, go
on. It's, I don't know. I did post this a few days ago, but the BBC Orchestra of Wales recently did a show on BBC Radio 2. And there was an entire show. I didn't listen to this, but I heard about this. Of all the music from Doctor Who, they did an entire show of all the music. Right at the end, they did the new theme song for the new series. Ooh. Yes. And have you listened to it or not?
I don't think I got around to listening to it in the end, unfortunately.
So, right at the start, it's very RTD, David Tennant type music that you're hearing right at the start, but it's kind of mix and matched with a new theme, and I like it.
Oh, okay.
It's
Okay,
got
yeah, I'm gonna have
it's
to go
got
listen
me
to it in a minute.
it's got me reminiscing back to the good old David Tennant intro. So
Yeah.
it's got that element, that the sounds that you would think, oh, I remember that sound. Yeah.
Is it a little bit of a? Oh, this is from. Wait, hang on. What? Oh.
Yeah. It
Oh,
sounds,
okay.
to me, it sounds really good, and I'm
All right,
hoping.
go on.
I'm hoping we have a better bloody title sequence than Jodie's. I'm not being funny, but Jodie's title sequence was horrendously bad. I didn't like it. Bring back the vortex. That's all I'm saying.
I know that not everyone is necessarily going to agree with me on this, and I totally accept that. This is my opinion, and I'm not saying that anyone has to agree with me on it. However, I've said many times that I did not enjoy Jodie's run. I don't blame Jodie for that. I blame Chris Chibnall. I don't think he is good writing for Doctor Who. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think she would have done better if she'd stayed on under Russell. And I think we would have seen her really grow in that role and shine. But, we have what we have. I'm glad that we had Jodie as the Doctor. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes forward. As I say, I'm looking forward to seeing what Russell does with that. It's a very controversial story, I think is fair to say. Certainly seems to have split the fandom from what I have seen. It's interesting to see what he does with that, how he develops on that, how he builds on that, and how he explains that as well. Because I feel like there's a lot that could be explained from that I don't think really was. I think we're moving into another exciting period of Doctor Who, and if you're a fan, like we certainly are, I think we're in for a good ride. So yeah, definitely watch this space. I'm sure we'll end up talking about it more as things develop and as time goes on. Tom, I think that's us done for this month.
Yeah. The recent podcast, we've kind of not as rambled on as much, but we've gone back to our rambling old selves again. We just can't help ourselves, can we?
Well, there's got to be a little bit of inconsistency. Wouldn't be us if there wasn't.
No.
Lovely. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining us again for another month of Fandom's Edge. I appreciate you coming and listening to us ramble on for however long it is each time. Not that we can stick to a set time period length. Yeah. The next podcast will be in a month's time. Tom, do we have a date?
Next
last Wednesday of November, so it'll be the 29th.
Yeah.
We
both grabbed the calendar up, didn't we? We didn't know.
Yes.
Yeah. We do it every time.
It's almost like we should put it in our notes.
Yeah. You always bring it up, and I'm never prepared, so I'm like, oh, quick. Where's the calendar?
It's exactly how I live my life. Yes, 29th of November is when the next podcast will be out. So please stick around and listen to that when it does come. You can, of course, stay up to date with us by following us on our socials. We will talk about the podcast there. We will share things, and you can obviously get the link whenever it next goes live. For myself, you can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/FamiliarForce. Tom is over on twitter.com/MaverickRNG. There is Discord links down in the podcast description as well. If you're on YouTube, that's obviously down below. In your favourite podcasting platform, I assume down below as well. But you'll be able to see that. We also make content over on Twitch and YouTube. Certainly more Twitch for myself, so we'll start there. Mine is twitch.tv/FamiliarForce. I tend to stream on Tuesdays. I'm trying to fit other days in. One day I'll have a consistent schedule, I'm sure, but Tuesdays is where it's at. You can also find Tom on twitch.tv/MaverickRNG. Tom, do you want to talk about your schedule?
Yep, it's usually Tuesday, Wednesday. Obviously Tuesday is with Joe. That's set in stone for the rest of our lives. And then Friday, Saturday.
And you can also find us on YouTube. Mine is youtube.com/@FamiliarForce. Not much on there at the moment. I mostly put the podcast on there, but I am hoping to get some content on there soon, even if it is just uploading previous streams on there as well. Tom is also on YouTube at youtube.com/@MaverickRNG. Tom, you post a nice range of things on there, don't you?
Yeah. Racing, simulation, a little bit more. That's kind of my thing. I've been posting quite regularly on there, so if you want to check that out, Forza Motorsport videos are on there, Payday videos are on there, and any informative videos about the games I'm excited for. I will cover
You've
them.
been doing a lot of breakdowns of games and upcoming stuff, haven't you?
Yes.
Which is good. So if you want to learn more about what's coming, go and check out Maverick RNG. Well, there's only one more thing for me to say, and that is, of course, to follow, give us a rating and a review on the podcasting platform of your choice. If you're on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment down below. It all helps the algorithm, words, and helps us out. And then we stop having to ask you to do this every single time. So please do help us out and support us there. But otherwise, thank you very much for joining us. We will see you in November. See you next time.
On the Fandom's Edge.